Today on Messy Thriving, we're going to focus in on strength finders. Going to give you a bit of an introduction to how I use it personally, how we use it in the business here at Little Miracles, and also to give you some handles on how you could use it in your own life. I'm going to even talk about some other well-known people from Donald Trump, LeBron James. We're going to have a bit of fun with it. I'm going to give you my insight into what I believe their talents and therefore what their strengths possibly are, and maybe even some of the overextensions as well. So with strengths, the reason that we are choosing to use it as a business is because we really love helping people find and develop their full potential. And we've been using a number of tools over the last 10 years, in particular Myers-Briggs and the DISC assessment, and we really appreciate those. They help our staff understand themselves a little better and help them understand their teammates a little bit better. But when we first used strengths, we got another coach in to start with and a coach some of our staff. The thing that really blew our minds was not only were people understanding themselves better and their team, but they could actually have a pathway forward to actually really grow and really lean in to becoming their best self, to thriving really. And so what I want to do today is just give you an introduction as to what that can look like. And with strengths is all about talent. It's called Strength Finder, but it's really a talent finder assessment. According to Gallup, there are 34 areas or themes of talent. And when you do the Strength Finder assessment, it rates those talents from 1 down to 34. And those top 1 to 10 roughly, they would call your dominant talents. Then the ones in the middle, say 12 to 24, they become your supporting talents. And the ones at the bottom, they call your lesser talents. They don't call them weaknesses. The reason they don't call them weaknesses is that any talent used in a destructive way becomes a weakness. So even your really strongest natural talents, if you use them in a destructive way, you overextend them, and we'll come back to that a little bit with Donald Trump. When you overextend them, they actually become destructive, and therefore they are a weakness. Or in the areas where you're not so talented, if they trip you up a little bit, they can also become a weakness. So let's think about weakness fixing for just a moment, which is often what we do in development. We find out where you're strong, we find out where you're weak. Say you got your report card back and you got an A, a B, and a C. 9 times out of 10, your parents are going to go straight to the C. They're not going to want to develop your A, they're going to want to develop the area that you're struggling in. Well, strengths kind of flips that on its head. It actually looks at where you're strong and develops that stuff first. It doesn't ignore your weaknesses, doesn't ignore your lack of talent, but it focuses in. Think for a moment about LeBron James, the greatest basketballer on the planet right now, and Lionel Messi, the greatest footballer on the planet, in my opinion. Both these guys are incredibly talented athletes. But what if we put LeBron on a soccer field and we put Messi on a basketball court? They might be incredibly talented individuals, but they're not all-round athletes. They're not complete athletes. They're not perfect athletes. And so what they've done is they've put a lot of hard work and effort into developing their particular talents and using them in a particular part of the field or court and becoming great in that area. They're these GOATs, man. They're the greatest of all time, possibly these two guys. But they've got particular talents that they've really developed well. If we go back to some people I talked about last week on Messy Thriving, in Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, and I want to add Richard Branson today. If we think about those 3 people, incredible business people, billionaires, incredible business capacity, but the way they do business is completely different. If I put Oprah in Bill's business, she would struggle. She doesn't have the same talents Bill has. If we put Bill on the Oprah show, I hate to think what that show would look like. He doesn't have that capacity. They've both actually become incredibly talented, strong in the natural areas of talent that they have. Neither of them is well-rounded. And if I put Richard Branson in that same mix, again, he could do a little bit about what Bill does, and he could do a little bit of what Oprah does, but in fact where he shines is when he's the one up front, actually not just championing the way that Oprah does, but actually taking his employees and people on a journey with him to go, I'm the brand ambassador. Here I am, virgin baby all the way. It's a skill set, so it's similar to Oprah's, but a little bit different. And then has more of the business mindset of Bill. I think Richard Branson has a couple of hundred different companies. So he has a crazy business mind as well. But they're all different. They've all got different talents. So let's put this in the political realm just for a moment. I'm gonna choose Donald Trump because it's someone that most of you I think would know. And I wanna read out what I think some of his talents are and just see if they resonate for you. I think one of his talents is self-assurance. People exceptionally talented self-assurance theme feel confident in their ability to manage their own lives. They possess an inner compass that gives them confidence in their decisions are right. That describes Donald Trump to me. Significance. People exceptionally talented in significance theme want to be very important in the eyes of others. They are independent and want to be recognized. This last one's command. People exceptionally talented in the command theme have presence. They can take control of a situation and make decisions. This is just my opinion, but when I think about Donald Trump, I think about those three talents. I believe they're probably in his top 10. And all three of them make him very influential, very charismatic. People actually want to follow him. But like every strength and every president, I don't believe that there's a perfect politician. So I want to read out what the possible overextension or when you have too much of these strengths. For self-assurance, the too much of self-assurance becomes arrogant, overconfident, and self-sufficient. With command, too much command becomes a bossy dictator. And with significance, it becomes an attention hound or a showboat. Now, I'm not actually putting any of those things on Donald Trump. What I'm trying to say is that no matter what talent you have, no matter how good you are at any one of these strengths, there's a constructive and a destructive side. I don't believe there is a perfect politician or a perfect person. In fact, I don't work for a perfect company. I've never had a perfect boss. And I work for my parents. I work with my siblings, my brothers and sisters. And so I want to give you a bit of a glimpse into how we actually find ways to work together through this Strength Finder assessment. So when it comes to strengths, I just want to give you a really quick reflection on my family. So we're all leaders or heads of departments within our Little Miracles business. We have about 280 staff. So I'm the head of people and culture. My sister Anna is the head of our curriculum department. My brother Daniel down here is the head of our operations in our centres. And my brother Michael is the head of our construction and our maintenance department. So we all work for Little Miracles. And I was the last to come on board. I've been with LM for 9 years now. So we've all worked together for a while. And sibling rivalry is a thing, right? And we're like all siblings, we have our challenges and we get to spend a lot of time together. So one of the really remarkable things we've had as a family is that we've really chosen to find ways to process our challenges, our frustrations. I can be an arrogant jerk when it comes to working with my family at times. When I want them to see life the way I see it, or to see a challenge the way I see it. If you look at these bars, they represent the 4 different domains of strength. So my biggest or the first domain I look through is actually strategic thinking. Then I look through relationships. Then I look through influencing, and executing's last, which means for me, I don't have a lot of energy around completing tasks or even doing tasks. The energy for me really comes from actually thinking about it, finding better ways of going about things. So if we come down here to Daniel, who I work with the most, where we have to partner together most, he has relationship building first, then he has strategic thinking, then he has executing, and influencing for him as last. Now, for Dan's and I, where our frustrations come in sometimes is that we do projects together and we get to this part where we both work with people, so we're loving that part together. We're both into strategic thinking, making things happen, in ideas, planning. But then Dan's really, see how long he's executing? It's quite big. He loves getting things done. Me, that's not really energizing at all. So when we get to this part, I've gone back to here again. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Let's do another idea. Let's do another new thing. And he's freaking out going, calm down, sunshine, come back with me. We haven't even completed the one thing that we've already talked about doing. So that's kind of frustrating for us. And so we've had to learn ways where I dial down, I actually go, okay, yeah, you're right. Be present, to actually choose to value the way he sees the world and the things that he wants to get done as just as important as the things that I want to get done. And if you look at my other siblings, we also have different challenges. We all have different lenses and different ways that we see the world. And we're going to go into a management meeting. I've got another one coming up on Monday, and we'll all approach every challenge or every decision that's coming up for the company from a myriad of different ways. And the only way that we're going to get through this is if we choose to value each other in our differences. And really, strengths has been an amazing way for us to understand each other and to choose to go, you know what, you're annoying the hell out of me right now, but there's a good reason for that. You're just being yourself. Take a deep breath, think about why they're doing what they're doing, and choose to value them even though it's different than what I would do, and a compromise. In fact, the only way we're going to get anything done is if we choose to compromise. And I haven't even put my parents or our general manager, Bernie, on this chart. So there's even more people to compromise with or to work out our challenges. So tell me what you thought about this video today. You can totally disagree with me about President Donald Trump. If you'd like me to, I'll do one on President Obama so we can get a bit of a contrast. I didn't mean to be political. I think there's great things in both those men, if I'm absolutely honest. But yeah, have a look at your own strengths. There's plenty of free stuff online. We'll actually put a whole bunch of links in the description, and yeah, stay golden.